Yo, 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 I'm back. Hey, first off, before we hop into this joint, let me tell y'all something. So we reached 300 subscribers. Man, boy, it's been a long road to then. It felt like I was stuck in the 200s at a point. But you know what? I stayed consistent. I stayed through it. And finally, when I scrolled at the gym, I've been stuck. Your boy's been stuck at 299 for like a week, bruh. Like a week. I've been stuck in the 290s for dang near a month. I thought I would literally never get out of the 200s. It was going so slow. But look, hey, I'm going to say this. You guys, 300 subscribers ago, I literally remember when I had 2 subscribers. I remember that. I remember when I first hit 10 and I celebrated like it was like I had 1 million subscribers or something. I remember when I hit my first 100. Now I've doubled that. Dude, you guys, or tripled that, sorry. Now, you guys, it has been one heck of a ride, but we ain't even close to done yet. I mean, I guess my first goal, or my second goal, technically at this point, is to hit 500, but boy, I can't imagine what I'd feel if I hit 1,000 subscribers. Honestly. I couldn't imagine it. Man, but boy, I got people that I've seen on this channel, boy, the day ones, literally the veterans of the channel. They've been here since like 10 subscribers. I know some of the guys have been here since like 50. Another guy said that he'd been here since the 180s. You guys, I don't even know what to say. 300, I know it's just 300. I know your favorite YouTuber probably has so much more than I do. But you gotta know, man, this is big in terms of motivation for me. I am seriously grinding. And speaking of grinding, let's talking about Jake Paul wanting to grab Tyron Woodley's cheeks. No, I'm just kidding. The Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley fight. But wait. Last thing on the little subscriber thing. I just want to say thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Let's just keep grinding. Let's just keep rising. Let's just see where this goes, you know. That was my intent whenever I started this channel. I just said, let's just upload this video and let's just see where this goes. And it's going in a great direction. Thank y'all so much. But anyway, let's talk about the fights. Alright, so I know that I'm late. And I know that I'm late to this, but... Okay, so Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul went down. And I know that I released a prediction saying that Tyron Woodley was going to knock out or finish Jake Paul or beat Jake Paul. And, you know, that was maybe the most frustrating fight that I've ever watched in combat sport. It literally takes the cake. The most frustrating fight. Frustrating. Because I don't know what the deal is with Tyron Woodley. I don't know if this guy, when people say he's the frozen one, that is literally him. He had Jake Paul hurt. He had him on skates. Jake Paul flew into the ropes and Tyron Woodley didn't think in his head, let me go flurry on this guy and try and get him out of there. I don't think that Jake was as hurt as people saying. Like, people are saying, like, oh, he was about to get knocked out. I don't believe that. I believe that he got rocked and he was tired. And I do believe that he could have been finished. It literally was like, 45 seconds left in the round and Tyron Woodley just didn't do anything but just followed him around. And, you know, there was a punch in a moment in the fight that saved Jake Paul, in my opinion. Because Tyron probably would have ended up doing it. But it's like, I don't know, how much more confirmation do you need? Like, how much confirmation do you need to go in there and just finish a guy? It's like, you got him hurt. He literally almost fell out of the cage, or out of the ring. Yes, that was a knockdown. I don't care what anybody says. That should have been a knockdown. I don't know why they didn't call it. Well, I mean, it's Showtime. Jake is the golden boy for Showtime at this moment, but it should have been a knockdown, and they didn't score it as a knockdown. So what? Okay, you could have finished the guy, bro. You took a fat L because you didn't let your hands go. Something. And you know what, you guys, we should have all seen it. We should have all seen it coming. Because this is the way Tyron Woodley fights. This is how he's been fighting his whole career. This is what got him in trouble in the past, is him not throwing, slinging. He said, oh, Mama Woodley this, oh, Mama Woodley that. If I see a dude hurt and he's been talking trash about my mom and I rock him with a punch, you best believe I'm throwing caution to the wind and I am going in there and trying to finish him. Imagine if that was Dustin Poirier in front of Jake Paul and Jake Paul was hurt like that. Boy, Dustin Poirier would have been over in that round. Dustin Poirier is one monster of a finisher. Conor has had to learn that the hard way twice. Boy, but look. So, as for a rematch, to me, you got to be on crack to want to see that again. Honestly, because if Tyron Woodley fights the same way he fought this time, Jake Paul is going to have more confidence, and it'll be a more decisive win next time. Next time, there will be no controversy. In my opinion, there wasn't no controversy. I watched the fight once, and I thought Jake Paul won. But also, I got a good engagement on what Jake Paul's skills actually is. Like, we got to see what he's actually made of. And, truth be told, he's about where I thought he was. I thought that he would improve since the Ben Askren fight. I didn't think that he had a solid gas tank. And I thought that his power was overrated. And you guys can finally see that. Jake Paul is not this one-shot knockout power guy. He's not. He knocked out two guys with lack of defensive skill. He knocked out two guys with that punch just did it for him. Sometimes that happens. Get hit with a punch you don't see, or you get hit with just too clean of a shot and it puts you down. That is what happened in his last fight because his opponents were so bad. When you're that much skilled than your opponents, you can knock them out. It's not that hard to knock somebody out. But he fought Ben Askren and he fought Nate Robinson and he knocked those guys out. I get it. You want to be on the hype train. He finished Gibb in a round. So the thing is that Jake Paul does have good power. He has good power, but it's not one shot lights out. Like, you guys were making this dude seem like a lighter version of Francis Ngannou. I've heard so many people saying Tyron Woodley's finna get knocked out. It made me like nauseous. The truth is that Tyron Woodley should have won this fight. Tyron Woodley could have won this fight. This fight was more so Tyron Woodley defeating himself than Jake Paul defeating him. Tyron Woodley lost it for himself. He easily could have beaten Jake Paul after that fourth round. That fourth round was big, in my opinion, a 10-8 round. Almost, at least. And Tyron Woodley could have had every round after that because Jake Paul was gassed. He didn't want it no more. But the thing is that Tyron was giving this dude so much freaking space that in so much room to recover, just letting this guy recover, and Tyron Woodley just hit him with one shot at a time. And why he did that was more so habit. The guy is used to hitting guys once in the UFC and them going down. He's a one-shot guy. He's not a combination guy. Even when he was blasting just shots at Vicente Luque, even then it was right hand. It was just that he kept spamming it. Tyron Woodley didn't go for it, and ultimately he paid the price. He let Jake Paul beat him, and now Jake Paul is going to walk around. He's going to improve even more. Now that Jake Paul has faced that actual adversity, he's going to grow from this, and he's going to get even better. Now it's going to be tough for any UFC guy to beat him, although I do think that there is guys to beat him. But Jake Paul, man, is just a master of... He's a master of this, man. Getting guys that you think that can beat him, and him going out there and beating him and fooling you. That is just, he is so good at the camera. A lot of people were saying, like, oh my gosh, Jake Paul doesn't look scared in the build-up, and he looks like he's getting under Tyron's skin. That's because this guy knows how to work the camera. He's been on camera his whole life. He knows how to act. He knows what to do. He studied people like Conor. He's obsessed with Conor. He can't stop mentioning the guy. So we know things like body language and what to say and all this other kind of stuff and how to look cool. He knows how to do that because the dude has been on camera his whole teenage life. He has. So there's no fooling me there. But whenever this guy gets alone and he's with his team or he's with his family or he's with whoever, that is when the real Jake Paul comes out. That is when he's actually dealing with the anxiety. Jake Paul looked like he looked so scared in his walkout. And not to mention, I heard that people were... I heard it myself, but were they booing him in Were they booing him in Cleveland and cheering Tyron Woodley? I know they ended up cheering him when he won, but it seemed like it was pretty divided in his hometown. He was getting booed just as much as getting cheered. And that's crazy. It's crazy. This guy is hated. Nobody likes this guy, man. It's like, to me, it's rare to see Jake Paul. I see them sometimes because they'll come and comment on my stuff saying things like Jake Paul's the GOAT and all this other kind of crazy. So there are Jake Paul fans. My question is, how can you be a fan of this guy? I mean, like, But let's change the subject just a tweak. I want to just talk about his career long term. And the harsh truth about Jake Paul's career long term is that he's not going to be. It's going to come to a crashing halt soon, because eventually, at the rate he's going at and the level ups in the opponent, it almost happened this time, but he's going to get beat by a guy that is simply going to be better than him because of the rate he's expanding at. And the truth is that his fans have expanded. He's got more adult fans now, and they want to see him fight actual competition, guys that'll give him a challenge. No more of these. He's out of that realm. Tyron Woodley will KO all of these influencers that Jake Paul could fight. This Austin McBroom, this KSI, this all these other guys. Nobody wants to see that now. Sure, him versus KSI will do numbers because you'll have more of the YouTube audience into it, but as far as people who are a fan of sports, they're not going to want to see that. Nobody's going to want to see that. Now we want to see Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. Now we want to see Jake Paul possibly rematch Tyron Woodley, although I don't want to see that. Or we want to see Jake Paul continuing to level up his competition with either UFC fighters or with boxers. But we don't want to see this KSI, Austin McBroom nonsense, because Jake will spark them, and we know that. There's just another cash grab for him. Jake Paul will knock out KSI now. Knock him out. No, beat him. Jake Paul would beat KSI, man. To me, there's no debate anymore. KSI didn't look good fighting Logan. He looked way too overeager and sloppy. And KSI hasn't fought since. I mean, like, to be honest, yeah, Jake starches him at this point. Jake is better than his brother, and he's better than KSI. He's better than all these guys, man. Nobody's even close anymore. Tyron Woodley is the best opponent that he could fight in this whole thing that he's doing. Next is maybe Tommy Fury, but after seeing Tommy Fury box the other guy, I think that Jake has a strong chance of starching that guy. But Jake Paul we gotta stop with this UFC guys boxing Jake Paul, because what is gonna happen, and what is a sad truth that all of this is, that he's exposing UFC fighters, or he's exposing the UFC in a sense of he's mocking the fighter pay, and he's mocking the fighters and their boxing abilities. He's doing so many things. He's asking so many questions, attacking Dana White and all this other kind of stuff. And the media, the MMA media and the MMA fighters are feeding into it. They're constantly asking the questions. The day that Jake Paul gets a Conor McGregor fight and he beats Conor McGregor, that is going to clown the UFC, you guys. That's going to clown them. And what I say that he's exposing it and ruining the UFC is that, dude, there's going to be Jake Paul copycats out here. There's going to be people, and I mean people that are famous now, that are going to be like, I can do that too. That are going to see Jake Paul beat a guy like Tyron Woodley, see Jake Paul beat a guy like Ben Askren, have been completely embarrassed Ben Askren, and then you're going to have guys who are casual combat sports fans are going to think this is all that UFC fans have to offer. Ben Askren is all that UFC fans have to offer, and they're going to think, I can do that too. One of these guys are going to take a fight with like Ben Askren or any of these retired UFC fighters, and they're going to be like, I can beat them too. Now, obviously, a lot of these guys, Jake Paul is actually a not special athlete, but he's actually an athlete, and he's actually pretty good at what he does. These other guys aren't, and so they're going to take a fight, and they're probably going to get obliterated. Not probably, they will. Tyron Woodley would KO Austin McBroom or whoever, KO Bryce Hall, KO all these guys, KO KSI. He would beat KSI. He'd beat these guys because he's at a higher level than these guys, but these guys don't know that. These guys think that these UFC fighters can't box, and they can be like, oh, I can outbox a UFC fighter too. I can make a career out of this. You know, I got the platform like Jake. I got the boxing skills. I can go out there and box UFC fighters and get easy money. And that'll just continue. People will start taking... It almost takes away that fear factor of MMA fighters. It's like, oh, I can just get them in a boxing ring and then just beat them up. That is so embarrassing. That is like, that's not what you want representing your sport. That is why Dana White gets so mad at stuff like this, bro. It's like, it's at the end of the day, it's bullcrap. At the end of the day, these events that Jake Paul and Logan Paul put on, they are complete obliterate nonsense. They're complete nonsense. And people buy into it because there's a crowd that enjoys these nonsense fights. Now, these Jake Paul fights where he's boxing UFC fighters are interesting. They make it interesting. But Logan Paul versus Mayweather, Jake Paul versus all these little, it's bullcrap at the end of the day, because it's a boxing match. Neither of them are professional in it, but they're getting people to buy it. It's like, it's so, you're taking a UFC fighter who is clearly out of his element, and you're putting him, essentially taking a fish out of water, and you're fighting him. But the fact that you're not that good yourself makes it interesting. But you got a personality, so you could sell it. Like, when you look at it on paper, you wouldn't buy it. But since it's reality and it's not on paper, you're going to buy it. It's so crazy. But, man, Jake Paul, this stuff has to happen. It has to stop happening if you want the UFC to be taken more seriously. And then the whole thing with fighter pay with what he's doing. Exposing the UFC even more, making it seem like a joke. Why that's working? Because you're going to have guys coming out of the Olympics, or guys, combat athletes, that are going to be like, man, I'm going to turn to boxing. I'm going to just box. You know, because the UFC doesn't pay nothing. The UFC is fighter pay is ridiculous. I don't want to be broke out here risking, rightfully so, I mean, but I don't want to be broke out here risking my life for the sport, and I get paid less than the media men. I mean, it's like, I get paid less than the ring girls for doing that. I'm headlining pay-per-views. I'm doing all this work for the company, and I'm only making $500K for it. That's like, it's exposing the, Jake Paul is putting the UFC skeletons on a platform. He has the platform. He's just putting it out there for the world to see. And the world eventually hasn't caught up yet, but eventually it's going to catch on, and you're going to have Jake Paul copycats, and you're going to have people out here thinking that they can take UFC fighters now. That is so embarrassing. And it's sad, man. It's sad. It needs to stop. I hope that Jake moves on, and that's another bad thing, is that people are going to think guys like KSI and guys like Austin McBroom and all these other guys, I've already seen it. Like, people are saying, Tyron Woodley has no chance, he's just a UFC fighter. Like, what the heck are you talking about? What are you talking about? The disrespect. Tyron Woodley has no chance, he's just a UFC fighter. Like, just a UFC fighter means that you're not tough. So what you mean, like, KSI has a better chance because he's an so fame makes you a fighter now? That is so dumb, man. That is so dumb. I can't. It makes me mad when I see stuff like that. Anyway, so let's move on before I drag this podcast on for too long. Let's move on to this other thing, man. Let's talk Kevin Lee real quick. I wanted to make some touches on the UFC card that. So Giga Chikadze TKOs Edson Barboza. I'm honestly not surprised there. I'm honestly not surprised. Giga Chikadze. How do you say that? Giga. He's coming up, and he's coming up, man. And it's like, I'm not surprised, bro. You can't sleep on guys like him. It's like, I'm seriously not surprised. Edson Barboza took it on short notice, I know. But, you know, it's like, Edson Barboza been TKO'd before. This one was a little more technical. But Edson Barboza, man, it's like, I still wouldn't write him out because he's still good. But it's like, he can never like keep it steady. He's very streaky. It's like, whenever it's going real good for him, he finds a way to lose, and lose in a brutal way. Edson Barboza doesn't just lose anymore. The dude gets put out, or he gets finished. I mean, if Edson Barboza loses, he's losing in a violent way, but the guy is so entertaining, man. You want to see him continue to fight, you know? His fights are fire fights, man. But people are just not scared of Edson Barboza at all. It's like, they go for him when they fight. But I wanted to talk about Kevin Lee. Because this dude, I was going to make a video on him, but I felt like people didn't want to really see that. You know, people are done taking Kevin Lee, like, serious. And so, after he lost again, I knew for sure you guys didn't want to see it. So, I didn't make the video. But, I will say this. Kevin Lee has all the talent in the world. Kevin Lee has all the athleticism in the world. He has the skill, too. He has the boxing and the kickboxing to match his wrestling. The guy is a way more high-level wrestler than he portrays. The guy is way more athletic than he portrays. I don't know what the deal is with this guy, man. It's like, is it mental? I don't know. It's like, the guy, He gassed out in this fight and it was clear, and he starts rushing and forcing takedowns, and Daniel Rodriguez started picking him apart on the feet. I'm surprised Daniel Rodriguez didn't put him out cold, because boy, Kevin Lee was there to get put out cold. The guy just can't get it together, and I feel for a guy like him, because it's gotta be mental. He's not that smart. The guy is dumb in the cage, and I know I'm just a guy here sitting with a microphone in his face. I know I'm just a guy here with 300 YouTube subscribers. What do I know, right? I know, talking crap about fighters. Kevin Lee would F me up. Kevin Lee would strangle me. Kevin Lee's probably worst part about him is his mind, and in there he's 30 times mentally stronger than I. He would obliterate me in 30 seconds, okay? If you want to hear me say that. But Kevin Lee is not a smart fighter, bro. It's like this guy puts it all out there in the first round, gasses out the second round, so what he does? Starts forcing takedowns and gassing himself out even more. Daniel Rodriguez was a win for him, man. He should have won that fight, because Kevin Lee's style exploits the holes in Daniel Rodriguez's game. Daniel Rodriguez is mostly just Mike Perry was taking down Daniel Rodriguez consistently. Why can't Kevin Lee do it? And he's way more high level of a wrestler than freaking Mike Perry. And you know something? Kevin Lee was calling out Mike Perry. I seriously don't think that you could beat Mike Perry. I think that's an even fight, to be honest. I think both guys can win that fight, you know? Mike Perry, it just seems like the fire is gone with him. It just seems like he's not as violent and not as out there as he used to be. But I think that he could beat Kevin Lee, honestly. I think that he can finish Kevin Lee. And I think Kevin Lee can beat Mike Perry. I do, but, bro, like, don't call him out. Mike might smoke you, dude, because the way you've been fighting, it's like you gas out like that. You're gassing out before Mike does, and Mike has power in his hands. He could put you out, man. And it's like, that'd be so embarrassing if, like, Mike Perry puts you out, because Mike Perry is clearly on a decline. I mean, the dude has lost it. I don't know what his deal is. But you, man, I think Mike Perry's case is more so he's losing his mind and just, and he's lost that nastiness almost. But you, dude, it's like, I don't know, man. Kevin Lee, man, makes my head spin. I don't know, because I want a guy like him to do good. I was cheering for him, but it was like the way he was performing, I found myself also cheering for Rodriguez at points. I couldn't make my mind up on who I wanted to win. But Daniel Rodriguez has outstanding kickboxing, but he should have put Kevin Lee out, man. He should have, but he did. The takedown was a little bit hefty. You know, he's really got to fix that hole in his takedown defense if he wants to be a contender. But good win for Daniel Rodriguez. Man, puts Kevin Lee. People are losing more and more respect for him. You know. Let's talk UFC 268 real quick before I wrap this up. So, the UFC absolutely stacked this card, and there's a bit in me. Just a little thing in me that was wishful thinking that they're gonna bring this to Dallas, bring this to Texas, man, because I heard some talks about it. I don't want them to bring any more cards to Houston. I want them their next. I know Dallas told the UFC no, but there's some hope in me that they bring this to Dallas. But then I saw a card, and I was like, there's no way they're bringing this to Dallas. And lo and behold, they didn't. It's in New York City. And it's headlined by Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman. You got Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje. You got Sean Strickland, Luke Rockhold of all people. Man, that's going to be a banger, man. All these people, Frankie Edgar, Marlon Vera. A lot of people wanted it to be Sean O'Malley, but Sean O'Malley ducked him. That's not official, but I think he did. But, You got all these nice fights, good fights, bro, from top to finish. I will 100% be watching this card from the prelims down. But the fights on here for me that I'm probably most excited for: Luke Rockhold versus Sean Strickland, Justin Gaethje versus Mike Chandler, and Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman. Man, that is the biggest one on this card. That is the one I'm looking forward to the most, man. It's the second fight between those two, because that's going to be so interesting. Especially the build-up. If Colby gets knocked out again, what can you say after that? Where does he go after that, honestly? Where does he go? And, you know, Colby's a troll, and he talks so much stuff that it would be amazing. A lot of people are overestimating Usman's power, saying that he's going to put him stiff. I don't know about all that. I think he will beat Covington, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't stop him. But people are making it seem like he's about to come in here and dust Colby with a punch. You guys are putting a little bit too much respect on Usman's power. It still is the same Kamaru Usman that was winging haymakers, and Colby was... It's still the same Kamaru Usman, but he's with a better striking coach that bettered the form of his punches, made him use his power more effectively. Now he's putting guys out, but okay, you guys, let's not pull a Jake Paul here and make him seem like Francis Ngannou for a second, okay? He's powerful, man, but I don't know if he's going to put Colby completely out. But I do think that he could finish Colby, but I don't know about a flat-out KO knockout like he did Jorge Masvidal. I don't know if he's going to do that. But would I be surprised? Yeah, honestly, I would be surprised. If he puts Colby out like that, yeah, I'd be surprised. But, man, we got to wait and see. Chandler Gaethje is going to be a banger. I think that could be fight of the night unless Chandler comes in there and wrestles. Sean Strickland, Luke Rockhold, man. Luke loses this one. Do you say retire? I don't know, because Sean Strickland is no slouch, man. That's a legit guy to lose to. I was hoping they went more Kevin Holland, but they didn't. I just think that this fight card is absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I can't wait for it. We got a lot more to cover. Nick Diaz, Alexander Volkanovski, Brian Ortega, all these guys, Valentina Shevchenko, and all these guys. Honestly, nobody cares about our next fight, but you know what? I'm gonna cover it anyway. But all that stuff is gonna be covered in videos. I'm not gonna cover it on this podcast because I don't want it to be too long. So, if you enjoyed the podcast and you missed my voice, sorry that this came so late. I was moving my girl down to her apartment in her college, but hey, man, we're here. I'm back. I'm not tired anymore. No more excuses. Thank you for 300 subscribers. We got a lot more on the way because we just now getting started, baby. It's been your boy Trippy, and I'm out, man.